And away we go. Welcome in, everybody. Great to be here on Warchant Gameday, Florida State, Wake Forest. That guy in the square there is Tom Lang. I'm Jeff Cameron. Ben's producing, and we appreciate you on board here on Game Day. A little early morning cheers to you. Well, it's not early morning. It's 11 a.m., but I drink coffee anytime. So cheers to all of you.
I was going to say, is there a little spice in that coffee? No, just straight up?
No, just straight up coffee. Too early in the day here, buddy. Not for everybody, but for me anyhow. I'll be cooking during this game, Tom. I've got the big pitmaster ready to roll. I've got two huge flank steaks that I've been massaging with spices all morning. I'm ready to roll, buddy. We're good.
Been massaging the flank steaks for a Wake Forest Saturday afternoon. Okay.
Let's get it on, buddy. Let's get it on. I'm ready to go. I've got I'll be warming that sucker up to about 400 degrees, and we will throw on those. I mean, they're monsters, Tom. They're monsters. I also got some shrimp to go with it. We're doing up game day right.
It sounds like you've got a couple of days worth of picking to do on the flank steak. You'll have today's whole slate and then maybe the 1 o'clock window tomorrow. You can pick on it.
It's perfect. It's perfect. I'm going to have more food than I need, but that's the way you do things. Have and not need as opposed to need and not have. Of course, it's a mantra of mine, and I do that every time I go to Costco or the grocery store. They've got me hook, line, and sinker, so that's what we got today. Plenty of shrimp, too, to go around, so we're good to go, buddy. I may bring you some shrimp. I may swing on by and be like, here's some shrimp, Tommy.
Oh, thank you. For the post-game show, you're going to pop in through the door here and just magically appear with some shrimp?
It'd be great. It'd be awesome. All right, so Florida State and Wake Forest. And really the biggest question to start the day is who's playing?
Yeah.
And I'll say that for both teams. Who's playing? Who's starting quarterback? Is Griffiths going to start or not? Tatum Bethune and Cam DeLoach are leading the linebackers through warmups. Have not seen DJ Lundy. You see that on the board. Keon Coleman is wearing a Johnny Wilson t-shirt in pregame warmups. Wilson has not been seen in pregame. He's not going to play, guys.
No, he's on a t-shirt today. That's what you'll see out of Johnny Wilson.
Yeah. I got to be honest with you. I think there are probably a number of guys out for this game. That's what we were hearing all week long. I'm not allowed to talk much about that, but it's game day, so it doesn't matter now. And I'll just tell you that I was hearing upwards of 5 to 6 players were out for Florida State for this game. So we shall see. I don't know that. It has not been confirmed. But what I heard earlier in the week was no Johnny Wilson, no Hakeem Williams. Destin Hill was a game-time decision. 2 offensive linemen may be out. So, guys, it makes you a little nervous because it's all on one side of the ball.
Yeah, agreed. I would say you never know these things, the answers to these things. Like, for example, it was a heavy, heavy lean last week that Riley Leonard was going to be unavailable for the Duke game, and then he did play. And then also last week, early in the week, it felt like Darius Washington was not going to play for Florida State. But then by Saturday night, in the end of the game, he played the most snaps of anybody at left tackle. So there's always room for a surprise. But we will have those updates from stadium side. Ira and Corey right now are manning that update thread that you can find on the Tribal Council on warchant.com.
Yeah, it's going to be important. And then the other aspect is who's their starting quarterback today. So we'll continue to see what happens with that. Listen, none of their quarterbacks are good. But I would say that with Griffiths, they got a chance at least to run their offense. The other guys, they don't protect the passer. They don't read it real well, and it's over quickly for them. So I'm kind of curious to see what ends up happening in this game. If they don't have their starting quarterback, Tom, it may not matter how many players are out for Florida State. This could just be academic.
Okay, so according to a couple of the people that cover Wake Forest from field side, everybody's out there. The 3 quarterbacks that Wake has played, Griffiths, Marucci, and Gilliam. The latter 2, Marucci and Gilliam, were seen stretching and throwing, and then Griffiths was just kind of stretching, not doing the throwing. So early indications are, unless the warm-up changes, that Griffiths, we'll see. We'll see about it.
Well, good news for Florida State if that's the case. Wish the young man well, but if he doesn't play, this is tough times for Wake's offense, which was already really struggling. When you look at Wake Forest, they're going to run the ball, Tom. That's what they want to do. That's what they have to do. They don't have much of a passing game. This is a team that just wants to shorten every game they play because they don't have the athletes. So you look at the rush numbers. I went back through and went every one of their games to see what their modus operandi is. And, you can tell a lot by the choices in the run pass splits. And it's a 40 carry a game offense. That's what they're trying to do. Now, the problem is they don't block it up real well. Yeah. So you want to run the ball because you don't trust your passing attack. You don't have elite receivers. Your quarterback's average. So you say, okay, we're going to run the ball and we're going to trust our defense and we're going to play field position. Well, that's a smart thing to do if you're Dave Clawson, except for if you can't run the ball effectively. So the game hinges today on Florida State's defensive line, in my opinion. If Florida State's defensive line is dominant, Florida State will be dominant.
Yeah, I generally agree. I think that extends a little bit to the second line of defense, which is the linebacking crew and the safeties, about making sure you stay in the gap you're supposed to, because Wake has a really good running back. Like, if Florida State wasn't so loaded, I might make a call to a mutual friend of ours and say, hey, man, not for nothing, if this guy enters the portal, Damon Claiborne is a very good player at 5'9", 200 pounds. He's a blend of that small stature that can find the hidden yards and fall forward and dart underneath dudes, kind of like Devonta Freeman did very well for Florida State in 2013, but then has really, really good, I'm talking Florida State level good, 0 to 60 burst. So if you are not in the right place defensively, if you are misaligned or you're cheating and you're trying to, your eyes are in the backfield and you lose the edge the way we did so many times in that first half against Duke, that's a kid who can make you pay for explosive plays. Just make sure you line up and do your jobs, and you should be fine today. That's what today is about. Stay sharp mentally. Mike Norvell talked about them losing their edge against Boston College. Some of that was due to the flu, but you can't lose your edge today against Wake Forest, because that is how you get to a place like the segment we did this week, where all those things happen that drive you crazy in your living rooms or in the stands if you made your way to Winston-Salem.
Good day if you're forcing them to throw the football, which is to suggest that you shut down the way they want to play, and you end up dominating the line of scrimmage. This could be a stats padding kind of game for the two defensive ends. And, Verse would love to do that. And obviously Peyton would love to do that, Tom. This could be, look for that early on. I think when you sit down in less than an hour and they kick this football off, everybody's always wanting to know, what am I looking for? Well, generally speaking, we always tell people to look for the line of scrimmage. Start there always. Who's winning the line of scrimmage? But in this case, it's basically our defensive line shutting down a traditional run. And if they run the ball with any success at all, they'll hang around for a while and they might have a chance to shorten the game. If they don't, they're going to have to throw the ball. Look for turnovers in that situation. Florida State could cause a lot of turnovers here if they are able to shut down the run. And I would think that is the message on defense. Guys, we're going to be aggressive early. Let's make sure our run fits are sound. Mike Norvell just said that going into the stadium. I don't know if you saw him. He was walking in. They interviewed him, and he said that, look, it's going to be really important that we trust our eyes. It's going to be really important that our run fits are where they're supposed to be.
Yes.
And, he's saying that because he watched the film last week, and he was pissed. And I was too. And it's the thing where you create the ability to spill. I mean, you're trying to spill it, I should say, to the outside because you're stuffing the run between the tackles. Somebody's got to be there and be smart. And you can't let people outside your outside shoulder. You got to make that play. If they take the right angles here and they're able to get stops on first down, this could be a 2 or 3 turnover type of day for Florida State's defense. And I would think I'd be starved if I were a defensive player to be able to create that situation. Might even get a pick 6 here.
Okay, well, you know what? I called a pick 6 once for Florida State, and it was 10 years ago. And the setting was a noon kickoff at Wake Forest. If you recall, we were watching that game. It was a watch party at Corner Pocket. And I think I said something to the effect of shots for a pick 6 on this play. And we got the pick 6 on that very play. It was a very interesting noon window. That was the only missed kick that year for Roberto Aguayo. He was perfect otherwise. Yeah. I saw FSU fan 1993 gave us a contribution. Thank you very much, 1993, in which he said, let's get a 2013 style butt kicking of Wake Forest. I'm down for it. And if you get to the point that you're talking about, 2 or 3 turnovers, then you're going to see a number something akin to that. It won't be one of those 27 to 13s that drive you batty for the better part of 3.5 quarters.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think you got an opportunity here. Excuse me,
Spitfire.
Thank you, Spitfire. You got an opportunity here. Defensively, this could be a fun game. Really could, but you got to be smart and obviously disciplined, and you should be able to create opportunities, get their offense behind the chains. It's not an electric offense, to say the least. Doesn't run smoothly the way it did under Hartman. So you've got an opportunity, I think, to create turnovers here. I'm kind of calling for it. I thought all week long this was a game for the defense to have a day. I don't know what the offense is going to look like if that many guys are out. We don't know how many guys are out, so I'm having a hard time getting a feel for that side of the ball. If you're missing 2 offensive linemen, I don't know that they are. We'll see. If you're missing 3 wide receivers, don't know if they're all out. We'll see. Then, you got a real problem on your hands.
A report to that end from Ira. This is my handle, but Ira's posting from my handle on the Warchant board. Says I am here and not North Carolina. Return guys are out warming up. Not seeing Destin Hill with that group, looking like he might miss his 2nd straight game. Also haven't seen Johnny Wilson or Hakeem Williams yet, so guessing they will be out as well. There you go.
I hinted at it on Monday and Tuesday and then wanted to not get in trouble. I've been trying to warn our fans all week long that half the offense is injured, and it's really annoying. And they are, and now you see it. And so this is going to be interesting. I mean, everybody saw that Jordan Travis missed practice earlier this week, and now you have all these guys out. It's frustrating, but there's nothing you can do about it. You got to play through it, and you've got more than enough talent to get this win. But it changes your projections for a football game like this when you've got that many players not suited up to play. There's no way around it. When your top 3 receivers, not named Keon Coleman, are out, it's problematic. This could have been a huge day for Hakeem Williams. It stinks that he's not able to play. Yeah. I think that he would have feasted in this environment, but now you're going to have to deal with maybe Deuce Spann shows up here. Maybe you get Portier to eat a little bit here. I hope. Obviously, Keon's a superstar, but if I'm Wake, I'm doubling him. I'm making one of these other guys that haven't done a thing all year long, and I'm going to make them beat me. There's no way Keon Coleman beats me if I find out your next 3 receivers are out. I mean, I'm doubling that guy. I'm shading the safety to his side every play. I'm bracketing him, and now I'm going to go with, obviously, I'm going to see if Portier can beat me. Maybe he can.
Yeah, no, agreed. And this is one where if maybe Lawrence Toafili's versatility shows, you might see him in the slot a little bit today. If Winston Wright had hung around with the program, this could have been a day for him too. But Darion Williamson, Deuce Spann, Kentron, I mean, all these guys.
You would think it's Kentron and Darion Williamson today. Yep. You would think, along with Keon, obviously.
And Deuce, like maybe, confidence is such a thing in the sport. And Deuce has come a long way since he first came on campus last year, in which you saw he was an athlete who didn't really know how to play receiver. There's a little bit more polish in his game. There will be breakdowns in that Wake Forest defense. It's just you've got to find them. You've got to see them. They do a great job of disguising where those breakdowns are going to be. And a lot of times you're watching these replays of the games and you're saying, oh my God, Klubnik just didn't see it, or, insert quarter drones just didn't see it for Virginia Tech. Jordan Travis has been around a minute. He's seen this defense a bunch. So, I think there's going to be some breakdowns and opportunities, provided that we can pass protect. And that'll be another test today for Florida State's offensive line. This isn't, a Wake defensive front that you would write home about and say that they've got 3 or 4 NFL players in the future. But they're quick, they confuse you, and you just got to be on your P's and Q's. And if you manage all of those things, the pass protection should be there for Jordan to make plays. I would imagine too that Wake on early downs, given the injuries to Florida State's receivers, if this was not the game plan before today, they might stack it up and say, all right, we'll double Keon, but then we're bringing a whole lot of congestion to the line of scrimmage. Let's see if 21 in white today can beat me one-on-one. Let's see if 88 can beat me one-on-one today. And we'll see what answer Mike Norvell has for that.
Interesting that he may end up having to run the quarterback. And, I mean, it's got to be so frustrated. At this point, you don't want to have to run him in this game, in this spot.
Yeah.
But because you've got a lot of guys out of your lineup and it's disjointed, there's a chance, obviously, that, you're going to have to do that. So it'll be interesting. Nathaniel Hornblower writes, Jeff and Tom, I know you guys are just pros doing your jobs, but I can't tell you how much I've enjoyed all the fantastic content as always. You guys feel like old friends. Nathaniel, love your handle, always have, and I appreciate those kind words. Thank you. Obviously, we're hoping big time today that Florida State is all right. Here you go. Sources telling Pete Thamel that Wake Forest quarterback Mitch Griffiths will return and start against Florida State today, so of course he is. He missed last week's game against Pitt and undisclosed injury, which led to Santino Mariucci's first career start. Yeah, so Mariucci was not any good. They get their guy back, and we're missing half our team. Wonderful. It's frustrating. Seems like that's always in the air when you play Wake Forest. I still like Florida State. I'm not projecting a loss or anything like that. It's just that, of course, the things that go wrong can go wrong and always do against Wake. That's just how it seems to be.
It is how it seems to be because it's how it typically is. However, this is not a guy who runs that long mesh point as well as Sam Hartman.
Well, nobody does. I mean, that dude was a magician. It was ridiculous.
Yep. But he's got the patience of Job there. So there's going to be those moments where you'll be frustrated and say, somebody get to the quarterback. How about the interior eats a little bit? This is a day where, if you want to see that satisfaction of a Josh Farmer breaking somebody down and getting to the mesh point and meeting them at that point of attack, he has shown flashes of, NFL ability and quickness. Last week, Fabian Lovett, somebody that you've been critical of this season, had four run stuffs last week.
First four in the last 2 years.
Well, he can, if he's got a few more in his system today, this is the right time to do it, to break that play down before it can go anywhere. But this puts more stress on Florida State at the second level to stay with your man. Don't lose your guy, because it takes 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi before the decision is made and the throw is made. Florida State will have a little bit of an extra challenge today because Marucci could not run that play nearly as well as Griffiths can run that play.
Wake Forest, if you want to get a sense of who they are, they're an offense that frankly struggles to succeed across the board. If I combine passing and running, I think they're 62nd. They're 92nd throwing the ball. It's not good. They do run the ball better than they throw it, and they intend to run it. That's what they do. But their offensive EPA is 121st in total EPA. That ain't good, guys. They're only 131. And their overall success rate is 92nd. So their offense has really struggled. If the defense is where they're supposed to be, we should be all right. This could be a good day for this defense.
Again, it's not the Wake Forest of even just a year ago with all of the veterans. They still have some veteran presence, but it's about showing up, caring, doing your job, and having the sharpness to, everything that you do, coming off of a very physical game last week against Duke. It's so strange to say, even when it's in the rearview mirror, but that Duke game is one of the most physical that Florida State will play all season long.
Oh, yeah.
They came to battle right away in the trenches on both sides of the ball. I think we were a little stunned by that on one side specifically, and then we got into the flow of the game and started dominating. But if there is any kind of lingering effect to that, Wake could jump on you and maybe make this a little interesting in the first half. But do what you're supposed to do, and then hopefully by halftime you're kind of feeling the way that everybody thinks it's going to go, including Las Vegas, which with Griffiths in, out, maybe, kind of, sort of, still has Florida State as a 20-plus point favorite going into today's proceedings.
By the way, Matthew wants to know what the injuries are. And I can't get into that, but yeah, he just missed with the lower body. We'll put it that way. Missed with the lower body. So that's what we got.
There were other reports this week about a boot. So that's as far as we're allowed to go, probably right up on that line. So, yeah.
Well, it's game time. I mean, what are you going to, you know what I mean?
What you could do is say to the 860 plus of you that are here, hit the like button underneath. Hit the like button underneath. Get
after it. Like it. Share it. Let the world know we're on the air right now. Talking about Florida State, Wake Forest.
A lot of people enjoyed our upset therapy session. We put that out separately on the channel last night, and we gave a lot of people a cathartic moment, and then I think a few cold sweats out there as well, that they're reliving these bad memories.
I went back and listened to it, Tom, because when we're doing those segments, I don't always process everything that is said by memory when we're done, but I did. I laughed. I laughed at both of us. Good job, partner. We were good there. That was funny. It was a lot of good give and take. Is that ball out? Is very frustrating.
They think they have it. They do.
Oh, there it is. There it is. And that always coincides with people hopping around, and you're just like, son of a, this is not good.
Also, you also see your own guy do one of these numbers like that.
Oh, yeah,
Where the running back slammed the ground, not in pain, but in frustration. Like, what did I just do? You're like, oh, no.
The problem is the announcers, despite seeing that same overwhelming evidence, are like, we'll see. You're like, no, you don't have to see. Everybody's telling you what just happened.
Players are telling you, man, the running back does not have a ball in his possession and is slamming
the ground. Yeah, he's pretty much telling you what's happening. Oh, man. No, I actually, let me say this. This is a unique challenge. If Florida State was completely healthy, I might be calling for a huge blowout here. I mean, I'm not kidding. And it may still happen. If you look at the matchups, Tom, a big if again, but if you have your starters, Wake is done. I mean, this could end up being really ugly. But without them, I just don't know how fluid things are going to look. And that's the only area of concern. I really feel good about what the defense will do today. I hope they got to show up. I mean, if you're talking to your team before this game and you're well aware, obviously, of all the receivers that you're missing, you got to put the onus on this defense. You got to challenge them. You got to say, guys, this is a team that's humiliated us the last couple of years. Just did whatever the hell they wanted to do. And you got to be better than that. This has got to stop. This is your game today. Let's go dominate.
Yeah, yes.
It has to be.
It has to be. This is, if you're going to go to the playoff, this is a game that you find a way, and you don't just find a way by kicking a field goal as, triple zeros hit the clock. You do what you're supposed to do. This is where, look, Florida State doesn't have depth the way they did even back 2015. They don't have depth like that, especially on the defensive side of the ball. But, they've got plenty, a hell of a lot more than they did a year or two ago. It's tested today, but this is why you recruit at the level that you do, or you hit the portal at the level that you do. There are certain positions where you'd love to see some guys being more involved. Like, for example, Tatum Bethune and Kalen DeLoach were leading the linebackers through warmups, but DJ Lundy's not there. Okay, we already like to rotate backup linebackers, so I would imagine that means you're going to see a lot of 36 Omar Graham today, and then you're going to see some Blake Nicholson as well. You wish you had a little bit more depth there. That was proven. But at some of these other positions, we've got plenty of dudes. You've got plenty of dudes. Show up, take care of business. This is a Wake team that struggled and lost to Virginia Tech by a decent number. This is a Wake Forest team that was lucky to beat Pitt last week. They're 1-3 in the conference, I think it is, as we kick off the ball today. 1-3. Do what you're supposed to do. Let some other kids get their shine today. You've got very talented players. We talked about their depth all camp long. Time to show it today and take care of business.
Kind of curious to see. This is a game where I would have really vouched for and gotten behind spreading everybody out and throwing it a ton. Just throwing it a ton. Because, again, I do have respect for the Wake defense. It keeps them in games. It's the only reason that they have the wins they do have. It's been their defense time and again. So I would probably, I would have thought you would spread them out and let your athletes go to work. But I don't know if he feels as comfortable doing that now, because you're going to be asking 2 or 3 guys who don't play a lot to be part of that group that you would use to spread them out. And I'm kind of curious to see what he chooses to do. It's like we said at the beginning of the show, would you have Jordan run the ball?
Yeah. A little bit of news here just now from the press box. Lundy is out there and warming up and in full uniform. Ira did not see him earlier. Now number 10 is out there for Florida State.
Well, and I'll tell you something, Tom, that's really good news. I'm not a big DJ Lundy guy. I think he struggles in terms of, he certainly struggles in coverage, and he struggles to run fit properly. But he is a big, strong kid. And if we're going to run blitz today, you need a DJ Lundy. I mean, that's a guy that'll come in there and hit you. And so if you're facing a team that wants to run it 40-plus times, and they do, you want DJ Lundy on your side. That's his expertise. That's the one area where I will give him high praise. He's a thumper. So get him in there hitting some people today. Let him play downhill. Just, it's a situation where you don't want him to have to think too much. Hit that hole right there and make a tackle, son.
Yeah, agreed. This will be another game where I imagine you're going to see those substitutions about playing the long game too, beyond a DJ Lundy coming in early for specific situations. But I would think also drive 2, drive 3, you're going to see Byron Turner and Gilbert Edmond out there, defensive end. I wonder if Florida State rotates in some different guys in the secondary as well. If you've got your top 2 safeties in Akeem Dent, Shaheem Brown, what's the snap count for the next 2? Is Conrad Hussey going to be out there? Because I feel like that is a physical presence that could feast in today's situation. He's a young player, but he kind of fits the assignment this week very nicely.
Well, I like him a lot. I think he's going to be a star on this team at some point. You just never know when the light bulb's going to go off, and he's going to be sound in terms of assignment football. If he has that part of it down, Tom, the physicality is already there. The athleticism is already there. It's just being where you're supposed to be. Now, you go back to the game against Boston College. That was a while ago, I understand. He was in for one play, and it was a disaster. He had no idea where he was supposed to be. He was looking around confused, darting back and forth. As soon as that play was over, they got him off the field. They saw he was not ready for prime time. Since that game, they've played him more and more, and he's gotten more comfortable, and he's made plays, as we both know. So is today the day where it is the coming out party? Is today the day where we look out there and say, look at my man. He knows exactly where to be. He's grown up a lot. I love watching the baby Noles grow up, buddy. There's nothing better than that. Watching these kids that you bring in with really high ceilings, and you say, all right, when's the moment? When's the magic start? Because the ability is there. We've identified it. When does it happen? Maybe today's the day.
Could be. Florida man in Texas says if it's not the day, and it is like Wake Forest of too many times in the past, will our segment be featured on Coach Speak? I don't know. That would be quite a meta moment for Coach Speak if our venting session, because he's worried about the curse of the white helmets returning. Florida State is going with the quote unquote icy whites today on the road, as Wake Forest is doing a blackout. Florida State is countering with white top to bottom.
I'm fine white top to bottom. I just don't like the helmet. I think you got to do a little bit more on that helmet. There's a way to do that, by the way. They could make that all right, but I would just leave the helmet alone. But the white on white is fine otherwise. The white tops, white bottoms are beautiful. I think it's regal. I think we look beautiful in those uniforms, but the helmet kind of ruins it for me.
That's interesting, because in the moment when it was announced, you were big.
I was, and then I saw it, and I went,
You want some gold accenting on the spear.
Lots of it, yes. And I've seen some of the listeners produce that image on Twitter and the like, and I've thought, yeah, that's it. You got it. You got it. You have to have some gold to this thing, man. You need to have more gold involved in the helmet, and it would be better. But what are you going to do? I'm fine with the white jerseys, and I'm fine with the white bottoms. I just don't like the helmet. So
as we're hitting 11:30 here, just a half an hour before kickoff, are you feeling that unease? Because it sounds like you might be. The Griffiths situation, you're seeing some of the injury whispers that you got during the week, and obviously from behind the scenes playing out. Are you feeling uneasy, or are you still feeling okay?
I'm feeling uneasy. I hate nooners on the road where you have to provide your own energy. It always makes me nervous. The thing that every time I go down this rabbit hole, I see Ira's there. We'll get to him in just a second.
From the hill. He's from the hill.
From the hill. This is going to be awesome. No. Every time we go on the road at a place like this and you have all these injuries, you start going down this rabbit hole and you get nervous. But then I think about what this defense should be able to do against this Wake offense, and I feel a lot better. All week long, I warned that they were pretty banged up, and now it's come to the realization that they are very banged up. Ira joins us right now, I do believe, from Snuggy Hill. Look at my man, Ira.
We'll see how well I can hear you. We'll see how the connection lasts. I wanted you guys to see Snuggy Hill.
Did you torch it? Did you start a fire before the segment?
What's that?
Did you start a fire before the segment?
It's calm right now. The troops have started invading. I feel like the border has been broken. We'll see how the activity goes as the pregame continues.
Okay, Ira, quick question if you can hear me, and I'll get to this. I want your thoughts on this. So they are really depleted at wide receiver today, obviously.
Yeah.
So no Hakeem Williams, no Destin Hill, no Johnny Wilson. What do you see playing out here? Is this a big Portier day? Obviously, Keon Coleman's a star, but is it a big Portier day? Do you think it's the tight ends? How do you think they run offense with this many guys out?
Yeah, I think it is. Obviously, Portier will be perfect. He's been back now for the last couple weeks. So he's been working his way back into the rotation. He's been playing, but hasn't been targeted a lot. My guess is you'll see him more this game. And like you said, I think they knew Johnny Wilson wasn't going to be available, and they probably knew Hakeem Williams wasn't going to be available. I think they thought maybe Destin Hill could get back, but he's not out there either. So, yeah, I think the good thing is you've got a lot of weapons. Lawrence Tofili can play in the slot. Ja'Kai Douglas has been back. Kentron Portier is back. So it's not like you're devoid of options. But yeah, man, that's 2 or 3 of your better receivers that are not going to be available.
Quick question for you regarding the quarterback play here, Ira. If, in fact, Wake does a good job of shutting down Florida State's run traditionally, and that's the only strength of this Wake team is that they do a good job in stopping the run. If that happens, is Jordan Travis at a place, you think, where they will run him and run him often?
I don't know if they'll run him often, but I think they'll show that it's a possibility. He looks great in pregame warmups. Obviously we saw him break out his legs last week, so I think it'll be something that I wouldn't be surprised if they show it once or twice early, so the Wake feels like they have to respect it. But I wouldn't imagine they're going to run him a ton. Again, this is a team where you mentioned the tight end, Shaheem Bell, the way he played last week with 8 catches. They have a lot of guys to get the ball to, so I don't think it'll be a Jordan Travis hero game, but I think they should show it a little bit early just to back off the guys keying on the running backs.
I know the volatility of being on the hill is a distraction, so I'll let you go early today, but any final thoughts as you get set to go to the press box?
I think the biggest thing that I've kind of realized since I've been here today is we're not going to get to see Mackenzie Melton running the zone read on one leg. So no matter what happens going into this game, Jeff, I feel a lot better than I did 2 years ago.
Have fun, Ira. Thanks for the check-in, buddy. Take the hill. Take the hill.
There he goes. Ira Schoffel. Looks like there's a lot of garnet and gold out there today, more than black and gold, it would appear early on. It might be a partisan crowd Florida State's way, because it surely doesn't look like those bleachers are getting filled with the locals early on.
A late arriving crowd, Tom. It's a late arriving crowd out there at Snuggy Hill today. A beautiful day. Looks beautiful there right now. I will say that.
It's going to get warm. It's around low 80s, I think, which
what
is
the hell is going on? That's crazy.
Unseasonably warm.
Well, enjoy it, fellas. It'll be beautiful for you. It's perfect game conditions. At least it's not being prayed in a downpour, because then I would just add to the list of things that happen when we go to Wake Forest. But, we shall see. Let's see. Looks like the starting offensive line, judging from pregame warmups, will be from left to right: Harris, Roddick, Smith, Emmanuel, and Byers. All right.
I wasn't going to jump in on that one just to see how you enjoyed that.
Tom, God dog it, man.
We'll see if Robert Scott is available today. We'll know early on there. I would imagine Darius Washington has to be available, I would think.
Tom, I'm serious about this. We're to a place now where I think it's safe for Florida State fans to assume that Robert Scott's not going to play football this year. I think we're about done here. Listen. What do we do?
He was okay, I know what you're going to say. You're allowed to throw more pitches. He was on a pitch count last week at 9 snaps. We'll see if maybe they do
9 snaps, Tom.
I knew you were going to say that. We'll see if there's more for Robert today, if any. And then Darius Washington was on the bench to start last week. Bless Harris was on the field. Now, it might be one of those deals where Bless wasn't 100% and he was gutting it out, and maybe there's improvement this week. So watching 58 at left tackle will be very important. But we'll see what that snap count looks like as the game goes along. Time was for Florida State not that long ago. If you saw substitutions, it was because of injury and nothing else. But this season, you kind of have to check in with the starting 5 on the offensive line every drive. Just go and head count left to right and see when Keandre Jones checks in, when Darius Washington checks in. And today we'll be looking, I think, with bated breath to see if 52 in white checks in at any point for Florida State.
Gregory asks, was Duke's defense that physical? Yes. They were the most physical team we played all year besides Clemson. It wasn't close. Duke was very physical. They're a good football team, period. They're offensively challenged, but they know who they are. They play smart. They got 47 6-year seniors, so they're grown-ass men. Half of them are balding with a mortgage, and, they've hit the weights for a long time. It's a good football team. They're physical.
So to recap, we've got nearly 1,200 of you now watching. Thank you for being here. Hit the like button, subscribe. It's absolutely free. But we've got quite a few players that are out today or we're trending towards out. Florida State receivers, Destin Hill, Johnny Wilson, Hakeem Williams were not observed during warmups. You can pretty much bank on that, meaning they're not playing. There was a back and forth with DJ Lundy. He did not take warmups initially, but then he emerged, and it appears that DJ Lundy is going to be good to go today. Mitch Griffiths, the starting quarterback for Wake Forest, has been reportedly
Of course, he's fine.
He's going to be fine. That's Pete Thamel from ESPN saying that he's going to start. And then we're going to be watching the offensive line for Florida State as well. We'll see if Robert Scott plays at all. We'll see how much Darius Washington is available. He was one of the unsung heroes every week.
Well, Tom, get ready to look for him at right tackle pretty soon.
Or left.
And move Harris over to the right. But you got to get Byers out of there. He can't play at tackle. And then Roddick isn't very good. So you've got a situation where maybe Jones comes in there, Tom, pretty early on. If you're just looking for substitution patterns, those are my best guesses, given what those players have shown us so far.
Well, and also watch Casey Roddick at left guard. He played early, but not much after, if at all, last week against Duke. I think
that's what I'm saying. That's why Jones, I think, gets in.
Right, but Emmanuel at that point goes over to the left side. Before it was just that Casey was set it and forget it, and then the right side had a straight rotation between Dimitri Emmanuel and Keandre Jones. Now Emmanuel last week played left for a good chunk of the ball game. So we'll see.
It's a very frustrating situation that you find yourself in. This will be a good test for them to go out and see if they can get it done anyhow. They should have the manpower to still do that. And as much as it frustrates me that they're just injury riddled, I mean, this is absurd. You've got upwards of 6-7 guys out of your lineup, Tom. I mean, that's not what it's not ideal. So it's interesting because the vast majority, if not all of them, are on the same side of the ball. That's normally not that way. Normally you got a guy out here and a guy out there, and it affects different segment groups, but goodness gracious, it's all on one side.
Lamar is asking, how important is a fast start today? What say you?
Oh, I think it's huge. I think you got to get out to a good start, get out to a lead early, and then play from in front, and you can kind of dictate terms. Their offense isn't very good. You want them playing catch up with that offense. But, you know, they want it, guys. I'll repeat what I said at the top. They're going to fight like hell to shorten the game. In many ways, they're going to try it. It's a different scheme, but in many ways, they're going to try to do what Duke did. Yep. They're going to try to play really physical defense and stop the run. And they're good at stopping the run, I might add. And they're going to, try to play field position on offense and run the ball and hope to get some short fields in there and somehow get this game into the late third quarter within a score. And if you do that, you put a lot of game pressure on Florida State. Wake Forest is under no pressure here. They've got nothing to lose. Nobody expects anything from them. And so they're going to play loose. And if they get this game to the second half, when you're missing starters, and you've got a quarterback who maybe doesn't trust everybody that's out there with him in that moment, that's the recipe for a problem. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but you could easily make the case that that's how this game plays out, and it's disturbing to think about that. So one of the ways that you rid yourself of that game pressure and the weight that comes with that the longer the game goes on and is still within reach is you get out to a fast start and you score. If I'm Mike today, oddly, I'm throwing everything I got at him early. I'm giving you, I don't want you to have any hope. I don't want you to believe. I don't want you playing over your head thinking that this is going to be like it's been in the years past where the upset's on the docket. It's going to happen. Get out to a 14-0, get out to a 17-0 lead. Run Jordan Travis early. Let him know we're here to play today. No BSing with you. And then get that lead, play from in front against a pretty anemic Wake offense.
Yeah, the sooner you can get into the 20s, the better. Because this follows the pattern of so many games recently for Florida State, and this would include the Duke game, where they did run at an alarming clip for the first half especially. But if you look on balance, their offensive output for the game, all things being considered, was probably somewhere between 13 and 17 points. That's where it was going to land, at 13 to 17 points for that game. That follows form with Syracuse, who couldn't do a thing. That follows form with Virginia Tech, who were aided by a kickoff return for a touchdown to start the second half of that football game, where you should handle your business defensively, and then from there, just put together what you need to put together on offense. It doesn't have to be 50, but if you get north of 27, you're going to win the ball game, and you're going to win the ball game from a comfortable position. So this follows that form. It's just that we're playing in a building, we're playing in a time window that gives us the heebie-jeebies, and that's the context of the kickoff. But I don't think the assignment is any different. What I will say, though, given our expectations week to week versus what we were talking about in the preseason, I recall we had the discussion often about the defense, where we said if the defense can just be above average, we're going to be in business because this offense is going to be consistently elite. Mm-hmm. Well, week to week, actually, now that we're on the ground and we're playing our 8th game of the season, we're talking about, can the defense continue to be among the best in college football? Can they continue to be a top 15 level defense every week? And that will afford the offense time to get its act together and be able to absorb any inconsistencies. It's kind of played out backwards as we get into the practice of week to week, where we are leaning on the defense, not just asking the defense to be above average.
It's an interesting defense, Tom, because against the pass, they've been very good. Against the run, not as much. They are, depending on certain metrics, they're 89th against the run in success rate, and in some other areas, it's disconcerting. Now, some of that is skewed because of the two quarterbacks that really ran it against us. But, it's interesting when you talk about our defense against the overall, there are some stats that are top 10. But there's some stats where they hover around 50th. So it's fascinating. Now, they do play really good red zone defense. I mean, really good red zone defense. And that has been the key to the turnaround. They don't give up easy scores. They stopped doing that early in the year. They gave up some big plays early in the season, but after that, they got that together. They keep it in front of them. They make tackles. And when the field gets condensed, teams really struggle to come out of there with points. Florida State's done a wonderful job in the red zone. And so between the 20s, you can move it on them. But in the red zone, Florida State tightens up. Be interesting to see. I wouldn't think that Wake should be able to move the ball between the 20s the way that many of our opponents have this year. That should not happen today, Tom.
Okay, you can check something else off of the list of things that frustrate you in a situation like Florida State is playing today, and that comes from Stadium Side. This is a longer update about the three receivers in the starting rotation. It would appear to be Keon Coleman, Ja'Kai Douglas, Kentron. I believe this is probably Corey writing it because Ira was hanging out in the hill, but it could be Ira. Expect Darian Williamson to play a good bit too. Something to keep an eye on. Saw Keon Coleman slip twice and Poitier slip once in warmups. Not sure what's up with that, but seem to have trouble with their footing. So there you go. Check another box, which is turf that you should never slip on, being slippery up at Wake Forest. My man's seeing demons today, and I'm not talking about the Deacons.
It's just stupid. It's always this way when we go play there. It doesn't make any damn sense whatsoever. But luckily they slipped in pregame, and old dad's right. Change your cleats, get a longer spike if need be, and let's go. I mean, you ought not. It's not raining. It's perfectly sunny and beautiful outside. There shouldn't be slipping all over the damn field now. Let's go.
Just let Wake Forest not be what it used to be, which was a house of injury horrors. It even was, knock on wood, in 2016. That's where Dalvin first pulled his hammy.
I know, buddy. That Wake Forest history and us with injuries, no matter the field, they've changed the field. It used to be grass, and it was always like loose turf and awful. We'd get hurt back in the 90s. Then they changed it. They've changed it again. It's awful. I don't know what the deal is up there, but they can't get it together with their field. And we're always obviously on the wrong end of that. It's just ridiculous. Let's knock on. Yeah, thanks, Mike. What's up, guys? Thanks for the shout out last week. Can we get a reverse of 2006 and go in there and hang a 30 on that ass? Yeah, I hope so, Mike. Listen, I want to make this abundantly clear. By the way, Philip, I remember the Greg Jones injury as well, and I was furious. I wanted to burn the school down. I was like, "Are you kidding me, Wake Forest, with your sorry ass field again?" Anyhow, back to this. And of course, I didn't actually want to burn the school down, guys. Don't be literalists. But all right, here we go. This is a very, very mature team. This is a veteran-laden team, if there ever was one. Jordan Travis has faced everything there is to face, save for being in a playoff game. But he has been in the crucible. He has been in these big moments. This is where your 50th year senior lines up and wins you a football game. I mean, Jordan this is a big moment for him and a great opportunity. He has typically seized those opportunities. Today could be that day, because I'm talking about communication, not just physical play. I'm talking about him communicating with his guys here, because you have a lot of guys that are not accustomed to starting a football game, that are going to be in there and not only starting in some situations, but they're guys that you're going to be very dependent on. If Wake brackets Keon Coleman, then somebody else within that receiving core, not named Hakeem Williams, not named Johnny Wilson, Who else did we say was out? Good God, it's everybody. Not named Destin Hill.
Destin.
Yeah, all these guys, they're all out. So Darion Williamson, Portier, those two guys, big time today, big time. And Jordan's going to have to communicate with them and make sure everybody's on the same page.
Nearly 1,200 of you are watching right now, and this is a road Saturday for Florida State. There's going to be a high-profile road game next year in August, and that's when Florida State takes on Georgia Tech in Ireland. The contest window, the sweepstakes window, I should say, closes Halloween night at midnight. So if you have not done so yet, head to SeminolesToIreland.com/win for a chance to win a trip for two to Ireland next year, August 24th, 2024, Florida State in Ireland against Georgia Tech. It's a two-person round trip on Aer Lingus, the national airline of Ireland. Dublin hotel accommodations for 3 nights, 2 game tickets, and pregame hospitality. And all you got to do is head to SeminolesToIreland.com/win for your chance to be a part of the proceedings next year. Pretty cool. When
are the Ireland winners announced?
Well, the sweepstakes window closes the 31st. I'd have to look at the rules.
Okay.
But the value of this prize, by the way, is closing in on $4,000, as one might imagine. It is not cheap to get out there.
I flew to Ireland with Ira and Aslan, and we flew Aer Lingus straight out of Orlando, direct flight, and it was perfectly fine. Enjoyed it very much, as much as you can enjoy a 9-hour flight. So, nobody's loving that, but we had no problems and landed safely in beautiful Ireland and had a hell of a time. So if you're on the fence, I'll tell you that go ahead and pull the trigger. You want experiences.
It will be cooler in Ireland, temperature-wise, next August than it is at Snuggy Hill today, oddly.
That's very correct. Yes, it was beautiful. It was in the 60s every day I was there. We had some 50s as well. It was freaking perfect, Tom. You would have been so happy to stand on that first tee. It was something to behold. The wind coming in, hitting you crisply off the sea, the Irish Sea, buddy. Oh, bud.
Best believe in August of 2024, I'll have 3 or 4 days just like that. Yeah.
Port Marnock, buddy. That's where you want to play. That's it's special place. And on number 1, you could ask Aslan this. I piped a drive dead down the heart and stuck a 9-iron to within about 7 feet and missed the putt.
That's okay.
Tapped in for par. Move it on to number 2.
There isn't as much break. They're slower greens. You just kind of
I played a lot of break because it looked like we were on a cliff, and somehow it didn't break.
Yeah, that's they have to. They have to slow them down, or else they just roll into the sea every single putt.
Yeah.
But see, talking about Ireland now you can see Florida State starting with the proverbial pipe drive down the middle of the 9-iron. Nice balanced offensive drive, 7-0, a little 3-and-out for that ass. Maybe a little shankadoo punt from Wake Forest. Florida State starts at its own 45-yard line, and then everybody's okay. It can change that quickly. It hardly ever does at Snuggy Hill, but it could happen today. We have blown them out up there. I recall way back when with a backup quarterback, we did that with E.J. Manuel a long, long time ago. Jimbo went to option football because Christian Ponder was hurt, and we destroyed Wake Forest on a day about almost 15 years ago now.
Cody, I have not ignored Vendrevious Jacobs. I've talked about it a ton of times on the Jeff Cameron show. You just got to pay attention. Anyhow, as far as Vendrevious Jacobs go, he's a knucklehead, and he hasn't been able to get his house in order, and so he doesn't play a lot. It's as simple as that.
That's what's beyond frustrating is Vendrevious Jacobs, not the lack of talking points, but yeah.
Yeah, Vendrevious Jacobs, by the way, is elite talent. He is he should be starting for Florida State or playing a lot. Yeah, and when you ask the coaches about it, you can see the frustration wash over their faces. But they're not going to play people. They're not going to play people who don't do everything you're supposed to do.
I would flip the coin from the frustrated side to the optimistic side. What is one thing you think we can hang our hat on today before we kick off in 10-odd minutes?
Our defense will dominate their offense. That better be the case. If it does not, we've got a problem on our hands. It shouldn't be anything more than that. Florida State should dominate on defense, and we may be fits and stops and starts on offense because of all the guys that are out, and Wake has a pretty good defense. So I think we'll be somewhat inconsistent on offense today. But I think the defense will give you a ton of at-bats. You'll have a lot of opportunities. this could be a really good day, another really good day for Adam Fuller in the defense. They've had a ton of second halves that we've been proud of, not so much in the first half. Let's see if they can start fast today. You know exactly where Wake's going to be. You know exactly what they want to do. They want to run the ball more than 40 times a game. That's what they do against Power 5 opponents. More than 40 times a game, they line up and run it because they don't trust their quarterback and they don't have elite weapons. So this is a stop the run first kind of game, and then there we go.
Yep. As long as Claiborne doesn't have a day, you should be in pretty good condition. Robert, thank you very much for the contribution. Robert is taking a cue from Mike Norvell, who often runs those backups out there, runs the twos out there
in excess,
because he's unaffected by the threat or perceived threat of the opponent. Is today one of those days he's getting at? If you're close, it's better to have everybody back 100% for Miami. Feels like the right move at this point in the season. No? What do you think?
Well, I think if you start fast, you can do that. If you start fast and you get out there, make it happen. Let's make it happen. Z-Chan's tired of negativity. Let's get a 50 burger and smash Wake. And if by negativity you mean reporting that people are out, I'm with you. I hate reporting that. It sucks. It's not good. And it was all week long that I was worried about those guys, and we had to be really careful. But that is a kind contribution, Z-Chan. We should have bells and whistles and things going off at this point. But
there would be a sideline warning on Lang right now.
Yeah.
If there was a sideline, because I'd be running off of it, fist raised, saying very nice from the official DMD.
Thank you, Z-Chan. We appreciate that.
Yeah, I think the chances of a 40 burger are high today.
Good.
50 burger would be impressive.
Well,
no matter however you slice it.
I called for some. Sorry.
Nope, you're going to say turnovers. That's how you get there, right?
That's how you get there. You create turnovers. Maybe a pick six today, guys. Could happen. Could happen. I feel like this is the game for it. You got a real opportunity here, a real opportunity to get after these guys. You know exactly what they're going.
So
what they're going with.
At what point does the grilling begin for you today?
What do we got? 7 minutes to kickoff. I will begin kickoff. I have a setup by which I can be out on the back deck and see the 86 inches of glory in the Florida room, and I can watch and grill and do all the things that I need to do.
Can we change that room to be the Florida State room? Can we call that the Florida State room?
That's fine. Yes, we can call it the Florida State room. Go on out to the Florida State room, everybody. We're going to hang out there.
All right. So I guess on the way out, everybody's beverage of choice. I want to see how many people are going into the liquor for a nooner against Snuggy Hill or at Snuggy Hill against Wake Forest, and who's sticking with the beer. And if you're drinking water out there because it's not your thing, good for you. Maybe you're like the Mad Dog and having a gummy. Watch the game.
He was combining lots of things. Lots of things. He's having a big day. Let me tell you.
Fireball. Oh my goodness.
For the game itself, I'm drinking water.
Yep.
I tend to stay sober for our games, especially nooners. But post-game celebration beer will probably be a two-hearted ale. If I don't go to the Scotch, I've got a Ardbeg that I want to try, and I've got a Lagavulin that is, I think, at 18 years.
Oh, an 18 Lagavulin. Okay. Is it a 16 that you've owned for 2 years?
No, it's an 18 that I've owned for over a year, so it's really a 19. Nice. Yeah.
I actually, at a Halloween party last night, I sipped on some Oban, and it was delightful.
Oh, love the Oban. Yeah, it's good. It's good. Yeah. Good call.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very good. So it looks like
it's any cool Islas in a while. We should get that too.
A lot of people. Yeah, you're right. We do need to have some of the Distillers Edition Lagavulin that I have here soon.
Let's go.
Aged in sherry casks.
That's the best.
For the post game, we'll be having some espresso. That's what we'll be having.
That's what you do. Yeah. That's what you do. All right. So, Ben, great job producing today. Thanks to all of you. Let's hope the Noles smash Wake Forest big time today. Even as depleted as they are, it's certainly in the cards. It's a distinct possibility. Let's just hope that we come out hair on fire focused and play good football. Tom, great job as always, buddy. Thanks to all of you. Don't forget, post-game show, Tom Lang, Gene Williams, they've got you covered for however this game plays out. About 10 to 15 minutes after kickoff, after the game ends, and you should be all set to go.
Yeah.
Call in and all that good stuff.
You should be hoping, folks, that game, that today's game is a blowout because when they are, typically we'll jump on late fourth quarter. Gene and I are like, the hell with it. Let's fire this thing up. So if we're on before the game's over, that's because there's good news. The link is in the chat. A lot of you like to communicate with each other as the game goes on, so the link is in the chat. And it's just $1 to sign up for the website. Just $1 to sign up for the website. So
$1. All right, let's go win a football game. Peace.